I would have at least 1,500 or so workout logs. Well, days that I've hit the gym and I don't have any proof of it because it's all in my head. Or I've had it logged into a spreadsheet, but I've just deleted it at the end to make sure that I can progress to the next session. Raw numbers don't necessarily make you better, but being able to see those numbers and turn them into insights that you can take action on, that's where you get bang for your buck. And the problem is most people collect a pile of it that towers over them and they can't make any sense of it. And not only do they not make that they can't make sense of it, they don't even bother to make sense of it. So I've been training at the gym for quite some time, over 4 years now. I haven't really kept track. I've been training anywhere between 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 days. And I also do kickboxing 3 to 4 times a week. And so by now, I would have generated so much training data. The only problem is that all of that data lived in my head. Or as I said earlier, it was living in a spreadsheet that would be deleted and I'd forget about it. And the thing is, this doesn't relate just to the gym or to kickboxing. This can go into work purposes as well, where you have something logged inside of your notes app, or you have a task manager, or you've got a spreadsheet and you've got real intentions of using them, but in the end, you end up deleting all of that data, or gets put in an archive and you don't see it again, and you only come across it after, I don't know, a couple of weeks or so, and you haven't made any consistent effort to actually make sense of that data. In the end, this is the exact history that you have that's relevant to yourself that you keep throwing away. You have all of this data, but you have no way to read it. And that's the gap that I want to talk about. It's not between the people who are smart and who aren't, but it's more so about the people who end up winning and losing. The people that are winning have systems around the data and can make sense of it, and the people who will lose eventually at the end are the people who just keep it in their head. But realistically, two people can train, or not even train, but work identically hard for a year, and the one who's tracked all of it will be the one that's able to make sense of it and actually get a better insight. And if they're working with people or have like a coach or something, that's when they get the best benefit, because there's no miscommunication between people. You have a system that holds everything. And on the other hand, the person who's been tracking everything with their brain and they haven't been logging anything or any of that, they don't have a system. They just go on a vibe, necessarily. They're just going with the flow of things, which isn't a bad thing. But if you want to get real results, something needs to be tracked. That's why KPIs are a thing. But in the end, it's the exact same work that's being done between these two people, but the ability to act on it, that's the thing that changes, and it changes the most. So what I've done is I've built a system that does the tracking for me using AI and using Notion, Claude, and Slack. And the part that matters the most to me is the fact that I'm not wasting my time with this. This is something where I can simply just paste a set of text or a voice note or a part of my program, chuck it in my AI, and then it's just done. I gotta wait 5 minutes and then it's done. I don't need to do any of the work. It's like having your own personal assistant. Goes into the tracking system. So I'll show you how the skill works and why it works. So essentially, it turns honest logs into trackable progress. So you hand over this session, so it will usually be a CSV file, or you can set it up how I do, where I can grab all of the information from 1 day's worth of a workout, or even multiple. And I'd simply take that, I'd go into Claude, I'd type in log gym, and then add all of that in, and hit enter. And then 5 minutes later, and I will see that the level, the mastery, the XP will go up for whichever muscle group that I hit. I'll have a workout session log, and by the end of a week, I have an automation set up where it will log the week's worth of my plan into a report where it shows me what's working, what's not working, what can be done better, and the overall training report plus a snapshot. And so that was a very quick breakdown of it. But essentially, I have the dashboard that holds everything. I have the master database, which is essentially just a dashboard. And then I have the workout session log, which holds every workout that I've done. And then I have the report section, which looks over these two databases. So everything connects through the workouts and the movements that I do in the workouts. So if I go to my program, so I have it named KV 18.5 because that's the current iteration. I've been through 18 iterations of just this program alone. I will have a master row that pulls all the data from all of the sub items, which have their own XP bar, mastery bar, and the weight, the actual weight that I did, the reps recorded, what type of streak I'm on, and then a backlink to that session that I've done. And then the way that the grading works is it goes through progressed, held, and missed. So progressed being I've beaten the last week's load or the same load with more reps, and so I get plus 30 XP plus a 2 grade point. Then held being I've matched my previous week or I hit my planned targets, in which that's plus 15 XP and 1 grade point. And then for missed, this will be if I go below or under my target reps. So this means I'm overtrained or I need a deload. So I'll get minus 10 on my mastery, but I'll get a plus 5 XP depending on if I have a streak with that muscle group or with that exercise, and I'll get 0 grade points. So mastery and XP aren't the same stat, but picture it like a video game character. The XP is the odometer, and that's the total effort logged. And it only climbs given that I'm consistent with the workouts and I'm not missing them. And then level is just XP with a badge. So it will be the XP divided by 100, and it's rounded down in a formula, but it's never set by hand. Not even the AI can change it. The formula does it by itself. The mastery is the current skill. It's the only stat that can drop, and it's capped at 100. So the XP essentially tells you how far you've walked, and the mastery tells you how far you're walking right now. And then every graded movement gets coaching cues. So a physical cue, so it gives me advice on what my next numbers should be. And then a mental cue, so a focus and mindset prompt. To Claude, I can add in, the machine shoulder press felt really heavy. And then it will take that into context. And for example, this is what it will look like. You'll have the session overview of what you've done, what's progressed, how much XP that you've gotten. You'll have your notes, and you'll have where to improve. And you'll also get a entry to Slack, which after everything's been logged, you'll get what moved, what didn't move, and a cue for next time. So that goes back into the physical cue and the mental cue as well. So it kind of combines everything all together in this Slack message. And so I have the skill set up so it knows what I'm hitting. So in the prompt itself, you'll see what exercise that I'm doing plus what day it is. So essentially it will automatically route to one of these entries, and it will figure out what's been done across all of these exercises. And to put it simply, this is like the life cycle of it. So I'll put in, as I showed before, I'll type in /log gym. I'll copy and paste my days worth of a workout into Claude, and then it will grade each movement based off what I've done and then based off last week. It will create a session row, update the master row for this current iteration, and then it will update each exercise's XP, mastery, session, streak, status, time that was last trained, the weight, the reps, just as I showed before. And then it will grade the master row, and then it will log the sessions plus roll up all of the session points, and it will return that Slack message, plus I'll be able to see it inside of the gym dashboard by itself. All of the numbers here, they will stay in this spreadsheet for the 4 weeks worth of the program, and then they would get deleted. Now, what this system does, it logs each day here, and it won't ever forget it, and I can always look back to it. And now here's the part that I actually care about. Most of the progress that you make is intrinsic, and then external validation shows up much later. So after you've put in 3 to 6 months worth of work with no results, that's when other people start seeing it. Or let's say for the gym, that's when your body starts changing. And that's why results end up stacking on top of each other the longer you go. So the more consistent you are, the more external validation you'll get. But with this comes a flaw. You'll start relying on external sources rather than intrinsic forces to actually gauge progress. So with this system in place, you get a sense of both internal and external validation. Internal, because you can see yourself actually putting in the numbers into a spreadsheet. And then the external, which is where you get the report back showing that, oh, you've done X, Y, and Z. But there is a stretch where most people quit. And the thing is, once you have visible data that you can look at and you can see the progress day after day in some cases, and then especially once you get to the weekly and then the monthly, quarterly, yearly, and so on, you'll know that you're making the progress. You won't need anyone else's validation to see that you're doing well in something that you enjoy. But essentially, the metrics that you track closes that gap where you don't need external validation to get that progress, to get the dopamine of that progress, of other people saying, oh, you're doing this, and this really good. But in the end, if you do something like this consistently for a year and you stop waiting months to find out if something's working and you can see it from the week to week, that's much better than waiting a month just to get a point of data that might not even point you in the right direction, or that point of data may not even be correct because nothing's actually been tracked. But you see what's working, what's not working. You stop pouring all of your eggs into a basket that produces no results, but you can allocate them more directly to something that will push you further rather than something that feels productive and you're not getting anything out of it. At the bottom line, it compounds, and it compounds across everything. So a system like this doesn't just compound in the gym or in kickboxing, but this could be for work purposes as well, where you're tracking KPIs and you're tracking specific metrics to actually get a result, not just have them for the sake of having them. You could do this for your business, for your health, for whatever you want, really. Anything where you have a metric and you have numbers that you can put in somewhere that tracks something, you can genuinely steer yourself in a better direction just by holding a system like this. The gym is just where I've proved it to myself, where I've used AI in my personal life. The feedback that you get, it's physical. You can tell when you need a rest. You can tell when you're making the progress. But it only comes with months after months of training where you actually start to see a difference in some movements. I wanted to have a way to steer myself in a direction where I could make smarter decisions without hiring a coach. Something where I can look at the numbers and make sense of it and get the most bang for my buck with my time and with my energy. So the question I'd actually want you to answer after watching this is, what are you doing every single day that you never once thought to measure? And what could change if you tracked it and you looked at it over the next couple of days? What would you notice?